Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023, and we are in the midst of Snowmageddon here in Utah. It's actually not as bad as a storm we had recently this year. Our New Year's storm was the really bad one. We got like 2 feet in my house, and I'm not even near the mountains. Today, we've got about 1.5 feet in the valleys in some parts, and by the end of the storm, we'll have about 3 feet up in the mountains. But roads are actually not too bad. I did make it to work. It did take me almost an hour, but I am here. It's a late post again. It's about 9:30 right now, but I wanted to get here early because I knew we'd have to probably change some stuff around, have people that weren't going to be able to make it in, and sure enough, we lost a ton of production today. So by my calculations, we'll be down about 10 grand for the day as far as loss in production because of people not showing up. And in addition, we still have additional costs like a ton of snow removal and heating and cooling and all that fun stuff. So a day in the life of business. Let's get to the day's news stories. So a few very interesting stories. Let's start with the remarks from the St. Louis Fed. So James Ballard, he is the Fed president of the St. Louis Department. And he is saying that more rate hikes are coming, more aggressive hikes are coming. This isn't surprising. We've talked about this in previous videos, that they're going to be going much, much higher, given the fact that jobs data is still remaining so strong. Economic data is still remaining so strong. We've got housing coming back up. So housing market is up about 4% nationally. Rates are down. Mortgage rates are down. More and more people are buying once again, and it's not like it was last year, but it's definitely better than it has been in the last 6 months. So he's predicting that there'll be a base rate of 5.4%. I don't know why he said on 0.4 and not 5.5, but he's saying is a possible target goal of the Fed. It all comes down to what Jerome Powell is going to decide, but I think that's a very possible scenario. I don't think it's going to get much higher than that, though. At the same time, the other thing we have to consider is the U.S. national debt is still based off of federal funds rates. So the Federal Reserve rate isn't just for loans, it's also for the federal government as well. If the federal government is going to be owing a massive amount in interest, it's going to affect the economy greatly. It's going to dissuade people from the bond market. It's going to dissuade people from investing, and it's going to have detrimental effects. So I think the 5.5 rate is possible. However, I think that there will be limitation on it going any higher, especially considering how high the U.S. debt is right now. So we'll see. I do think the next meeting is probably going to raise it 0.5%, if not a 0.75%. We'll see what kind of jobs and economic data we get for the month of February, but potentially I think it's very possible that we could see 0.75% increase. Another interesting story is, well, we'll get to mergers and acquisitions in just a second, actually. Let's talk about college. So college is an interesting one because for the longest time, anytime you click on YouTube, any business guru is going to talk about college being a waste of time, how colleges are dead. Elon Musk says you don't need to go to college, blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily disagree. I don't necessarily agree. But I think this is a very interesting news statistic that came out. So college applications are actually up 20% from last year. Now, this is also because of the fact that we had lower applications due to COVID. There was no reason to apply for college if all you're going to be doing is paying exorbitant amounts for online courses. Now that everything is in person again, it makes sense that applications would go up. However, it is still surprising given the fact that given the sentiment you often hear in the private sector, it seems like no one's going to college, college is antiquated, and it's not going to happen, especially with blue-collar jobs on the rise and supposedly white-collar jobs on the decline because of things like AI. This is going to be interesting because this is going to have a huge effect on the job market as well. I think this is further going to fuel inflation because a lot of these people that are going to go into college degrees are not going to go into manual labor. And right now, that is one of the biggest drivers of inflation, is the fact that you can't find a contractor, you can't find a plumber, you can't find a mechanic, you can't find people for the service sector. It's going to be another drive of inflation because it's going to cause wages to go up, because people are going to be competing for employees and staff, and it's going to cause an increase in wages. So this is something the Fed can't control, right? They're thinking, and it's their only tool is to raise their interest rate, but this isn't going to be the only factor that controls inflation. I think this 20% number is very interesting because it's going to play a massive effect into job numbers. Even if just to say the fact that for the next several years, these people that are applying to college aren't going to be able to have full-time jobs as well. Just that alone is going to affect the job market. Next, let's get to mergers and acquisitions. This is where it's interesting. So first, the small story. Dick's Sporting Goods is acquiring Moose Jaw, which is a outdoor retailer, mostly as an e-commerce store from Walmart, for an undisclosed amount. I could not find any information on how much they're purchasing for. Originally, Walmart purchased the company for $51 million back in 2017, but Dick's Sporting Goods is doing this to expand their digital online presence. The other interesting one, the real interesting one, is Amazon. So Amazon is paying $9 billion to purchase One Medical, which is a primary general medical service provider. So just your general GPs, and it's going to be gaining 200 locations. Probably here within the next couple of months. So for primary care, this is very interesting, seeing as how Lina Khan, who is the new FTC chair, has been very hawkish and very aggressive with M&A and company growth. I'm a little surprised that she allowed this to happen. We haven't talked too much about her other than in passing. So earlier, I've talked about how Google had FTC antitrust cases building against it. That's mostly because of Lina Khan. At the same time, earlier, I think it was last year, Facebook tried to acquire a company to expand Meta, and they were blocked from that. I think eventually it was pushed through, but that was primarily Lina Khan. So she's been very aggressive at reducing M&A and filing antitrust, which I actually think is a good thing. I think this helps competition. I don't think it hurts it. I think this is old school neocons that are fighting this. I think it's a great thing to be fighting a lot of these monopolies and oligopolies that have sprung up, especially in tech. So the fact that this went through is a little surprising, seeing as how Amazon already has purchased PillPack in the past, as well as owns a bunch of medical supply companies as well, and serves as a medical supply distributor. We ourselves, we have purchased from Amazon. I don't use them too heavily, but they are out there and I have used them in the past. So this is interesting. We'll see what happens. They could still file a case later on, but so far they've been given the green light. And then in tech news, Intel is slashing its dividends by 65%, which is huge because Intel has always been big on their dividend funds. So if you've owned it as kind of the dogs of the Dow, you're going to be taking a hit on that. And then lastly, today is supposed to be the launch of Bing and Microsoft Edge with their chatbot. So I don't know what they're calling it. I just still call it ChatGPT. It's going to be fully integrated into their system as of today. It's been pretty much in beta testing for the last couple of weeks, but I guess it's going live today. I haven't had a chance to play with it, but that's very interesting. That's pretty much it as far as the stories of today. I will be back here tomorrow with you guys. Had to do it outside today just because I wanted to show you guys all the snow. So it is kind of pretty. I can't deny that the snow can be pretty, but I actually have to hit the road and visit our other office today. So I will hopefully survive and see you guys in the morning. Take care. Bye-bye.